he would sigh and say, "Let's just keep the peace." I learned early on that I had to earn a spot in this family. I therefore did just that. I earned outstanding grades, worked part-time jobs, and received scholarships to pay for college, and after graduation, I got a fantastic position in technology. When COVID hit, I helped everyone in the family set up home Wi-Fi, got them on Zoom, even fixed Ryan's resume so he could land a remote job. Never once did I hear, "Thank you." I secretly hoped for one, even though I wasn't expecting one. That optimism was unyielding. Perhaps they would ultimately notice me if I did more, showed up more, and helped out more. They would eventually cease treating me like the specter in the group photos corner. I didn't hesitate to accept Denise's request for my assistance in organizing Easter when she texted me in the family group chat. "Could you clean up the house a bit before folks arrive? Would you mind confirming with the caterer? Oh, and the kids really love that egg hunt you did last year." She spoke it so casually, as if she wasn't giving me half the holiday. My invisible job description felt familiar. I still said yes though. Since Denise claimed she would Venmo me later, I made my own reservations for the caterer and paid the deposit in full, which came to around $700. For the record, she didn't. She commented that the tablecloths appeared wrinkled in the photos from the previous year. So I arrived early to cleanse the guest bathroom, arrange the folding chairs, and even iron them. I completed everything while they were away getting manicures or going to the mall to buy matching pastels. I was already worn out by the time people began to arrive, but I still managed to grin. I knew they looked fine in pictures, so I dressed a great button-up, and even those slightly pinching shoes. I distributed baskets, assisted the children with the egg search, and kept track of the candy to ensure that nobody got upset over missing it. With a mimosa in hand, Denise observed from the patio without ever attempting to assist. Nodding absently to whatever Ryan was babbling about, whether it was cryptocurrency, his new sports car, or how 9-to-5 jobs are for losers, my dad grilled outside. I simply kept grinning. We had a buffet for dinner. I made sure the line was orderly, refilled the drinks, helped Ellie carry a tray when she started to hurt her wrists. However, Ryan looked up from slicing into his ham when I finally sat down, barely touching the plate, and smirked at me, saying, "Funny how you think any of this makes you one of us." He laughed as if it were a joke, but nobody else did. As if he hadn't heard, my dad continued to slice the ham. Denise didn't even raise her head. Ellie gave me a quick glance before turning away. Something, just suddenly, not loudly, not all at once, broke inside of me. It sounded like the sound of threads separating from a button. A silent, last snap. I didn't weep. I didn't shout. I just sat there for a bit, staring at the dish in front of me, at the roast potatoes I'd helped arrange in a perfect spiral that morning. Then, silently, I chuckled at the ridiculousness of it all, not at anything amusing. It was ridiculous that I had worked for more than 10 years to be seated at a table that was never reserved for me. So I got up. No one noticed right away. I grabbed my laptop bag and went into the coat closet through the hallway. It served a different role today than when I had carried it in case I wanted to make a short work call. I went to the driveway and unlocked my car's trunk. There, I had a clearly labeled folder containing bank statements, signed contract copies and receipts. I took it out. I returned inside and past the dining table. Denise's flawless centerpiece, Ryan's arrogant hollow smile. I said nothing at all. I went directly to the laundry room's fuse box and turned off the circuits for the media center, outdoor lighting, and main kitchen. After that, I started removing everything that had my name as soon as I left through the front door. I took my time. I wanted to experience every moment of taking back what was rightfully mine. It had nothing to do with revenge. Not quite yet. It was about clarity, the type that settles over you when you stop yearning to be chosen and start selecting yourself. Pulling out the list I had printed weeks earlier but never intended to use, I opened the trunk. Unless they really pushed me. Well, Ryan had done the honors with just one sentence. The outside heater is the first thing on my list. Dad noted that Denise was always cold at outdoor dinners, so I bought it for Christmas last year. I moved it carefully to my car and loaded it in, after using the small wrench I kept in my emergency pack, to unscrew the gas line. I was drawn to the sound of the back gate creaking open. Ellie was the one. "Andrew," she said in a careful, low voice. "What are you doing?" I continued to move. "Taking back what's mine." She took a tentative step forward. "Wait, are you okay? I mean, Ryan was being Ryan." I stopped and gave her a direct look. "You laughed last time he told me I should be grateful Dad didn't ship me off to Mom's family. You didn't speak up then either." She opened her mouth a little but nothing came out. I didn't feel upset with her. Not really. She may have once aspired to be decent, but in that environment, being decent meant being different, and being different wasn't safe. Not if you were a child of Denise. Without saying anything, she retreated. I looked at my list again. The surround sound speakers came next. Last summer, Ryan sat inside and complained that I was making too much noise while I spent 2 full days running cables through drywall. He continued to boast to his pals that his setup was superior to a movie theater. After carefully unhooking and coiling each cable, I placed the speakers in the original boxes I had stored in my garage. It was mine if I installed it and paid for it. The security mechanism was simple. I installed every camera, had the admin log in, and owned the subscription. My phone unpaired the network with a single click. Each camera flashed twice before going dark. I removed all the saved video logs while I was at it, just for good measure. Dad finally realized something was amiss at that point. The front door opened, and I heard it. With a half-eaten roll in his hand, as if he had forgotten he was still eating, he slowly left the house. "Andrew, what's going on?" I didn't instantly turn around. I was in the middle of coiling the garden hose that I had purchased. Naturally, theirs had a leak that was left unfixed for 2 years. I responded without even glancing at him. "Taking back the things I brought into this house. I figured it's time I stopped pretending I belong somewhere I'm not welcome." He remained silent as he stood there. Then the indication appeared, that old weary groan he used whenever he didn't want to face something. "This isn't necessary. Let's not make a scene." I straightened up and looked at him. "You think this is a scene? What Ryan said back there wasn't a scene? What Denise does to me year after year? That's not a scene? You've stood by every time she's cut me out of family photos, forgotten my birthday, told the caterer I wasn't part of the guest count. And you said nothing. So no, Dad. This is me finally saying something." Instead of responding, he simply stared at me as if I were the issue and that I was exaggerating. I grinned. "Don't worry, I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to break anything. I'm just going to finish collecting what's mine, and then I'm done." I meant it too. I spent the next hour taking down the patio lighting that I had given 2 years prior. Denise had requested a streamlined device, so she took the smart TV from the wall in the living room. I even took out the backup generator I purchased during the power outage the previous year. I paid for everything. They never expressed gratitude to me for any of the small things they had become accustomed to having. Ellie never returned outside. Ryan made no effort to appear helpful. Denise. She stood in the kitchen window, arms crossed, expression unreadable. She didn't appear irate. She appeared irritated, as though I were interfering with her lunch preparation. I stuffed one last box into the trunk once the car was full. It was the handmade Easter centerpiece I created with porcelain eggs and wood. After praising it to a neighbor once, and describing it as charming, Denise advised me not to bring anything so rustic the next time. Still, I took it. Nothing that bore my fingerprints was left behind. I heard the front door creak open once again as I went in and closed the trunk. It was Ryan this time. He didn't shout. He didn't grin. With a Coke in his hand, he simply leaned on the railing and yelled, "You seriously think anyone's going to miss you?" I gave him a direct glance while slightly lowering the window. "No," I replied. "But they'll miss what I brought." The house shrank in the rearview mirror as I backed out of the driveway. The house I used to imagine I belonged to. The home that had given so little and taken so much. However, none anticipated what transpired after I drove off. And the actual fallout started there. It took exactly 3 days for the first communication to come in. It came from Denise, not from Ryan or my father. It was a brief, antiseptic and frigid text. "Hey, just noticed the thermostat system is offline. Could you check it? The house feels like an icebox." I didn't respond. Rather, I took a screen grab of the message, saved it, and continued with my day. See what Denise didn't realize. What none of them realized. was just how much I'd been keeping together in that house. My name was on the smart thermostat's registration. The mobile app that let them control the temperature from their phones was licensed through my account. I had connected the devices, configured the Wi-Fi mesh system, and ensured that the router firmware was kept up to date. Ryan was boasting about my work and money every time he boasted about how sleek and sophisticated their house was. My phone buzzed again later that afternoon, this time from Ellie. "Hey, not sure what's going on, but none of the TVs are working. Did you cancel something?" I thought about responding. Ellie was the only one who ever came close to treating me like a human. However, I recalled the numerous instances in which she averted her gaze when Denise made verbal insults to me. The way she laughed hesitantly, yet still laughed, whenever Ryan said something harsh. I owed her nothing at all. Instead, I signed into my streaming service accounts, Netflix, Hulu, Prime, and pushed the sign out of all devices option on every single one. I added two-factor authentication and modified the passwords. The group chat exploded the following morning. Dad wrote, "Andrew, is there a reason all the house lights are flickering?" Ryan sent a message. "Bro, what is this? My Xbox won't connect. Did you mess with the Wi-Fi?" Denise sent a message. "This is really immature. You're making a point. We get it. You can stop now." I didn't respond. Not quite yet. I was not prepared to talk. I did something different instead. The contractor who had assisted me in installing the backup generator the previous year was contacted. Although it was expensive, nearly $5,000, I charged it to my credit card and gradually paid it off. Even after the neighborhood lost power and their house remained completely lit during the blackout in December of previous year, they had never even tried to help. The thank you I never received is still fresh in my mind. I informed the contractor that I needed the unit moved because I was moving. "No problem," he replied. By Friday, he might have someone out. When the electrician arrived, they were still texting. At the door, Ryan attempted to stop him. "You can't just take that. This is our house." However, the documentation was unambiguous. Purchase receipt under my name. Contract for installation using my billing address. As a worker with a clipboard carefully disconnected and placed the generator onto a truck, Ryan stood in the driveway and yelled at him. It was a small gift from the cosmos to see him thrashing around like a child who has been denied a toy. Finally, that evening, I responded. At 11:47 p.m., a single message was delivered to the group chat. "Don't worry. I'm just doing what you all taught me, taking care of what's mine." After that, I turned off the conversation, but the consequences persisted. A week went by. I concentrated on my task. I finally acquired the espresso machine I'd been coveting, remodeled my room, and purchased new furnishings. Life seemed lighter and more peaceful. But then something unusual happened. My father called. Unsure of what to do, I gazed at the screen. He didn't call. He delegated the family communications to Denise or Ellie. Nevertheless, more out of curiosity than anything else, I responded. Then he continued. "Andrew, we need to talk." There was a change in his voice, not irate, not bossy, just exhausted. "What about? I didn't realize how much you were doing for this family," he admitted softly. "I guess I let some things slide that I shouldn't have." I remained silent. Allow the quiet to last. "I was wondering," he said, "if you could at least send a new Wi-Fi password. Ryan's been having issues with his remote work setup." I let out a single silent laugh. I wasn't resentful. It was nearly funny. I said, "I'm not your IT guy, Dad. I was your son once." That didn't seem to count for much. He didn't know how to answer. His respiration hitched, and I could hear it. "Is this really how you want to handle things?" "No," I replied. "But it's how you handled things, for years." I hung up after that. I began reviewing my accounts that evening, including those for utilities, insurance, and subscriptions. I deleted my card details from each and every item linked to their address one by one. The water bill? Lost. The electricity autopay? Cancelled. I left the usual service plans with them. No savings, no bonuses. Like everyone else, let them call and wait on hold for 3 hours. That should be the end of it, I thought. However, I got a letter in the mail 2 days later. It's a letter, not an email. Thick envelope. My name printed in cursive. A folded piece of paper bearing my dad's handwriting was inside. It began with, "Andrew, I know I haven't been the father you needed me to be." I didn't finish reading it. Not immediately. With a letter in hand, I reflected on the years I had spent attempting to earn the respect of a family that never made an effort to compromise with me. I was going to tear it up and throw it in the garbage, when I noticed something else hidden inside the letter. A $700 check, which was exactly how much I had spent on the Easter catering. I gazed at it. I recognized then that they were afraid. Not only of losing services. Not only because it's inconvenient. They were afraid because I had begun to show them what it was like to be invisible. And for the first time, I had ceased requesting to be seen. I sat for a long time holding the check. The money wasn't the point. It had never been. Compared to the hundreds I had spent over the years on the holidays, technology, furniture and utilities, that $700 was nothing. Nevertheless, something inside of me paused when I saw it spelled out that way, signed in my dad's meticulous handwriting. It was the first time anyone in that house had tried to pay me back, just a transaction, a figure, and not with any emotion or apology. It was chilly but enlightening because I now understood my exact value to them. $700. Not a second more. The check was not cashed by me. Rather, I went to my kitchen drawer, took out an old envelope and slipped the check and the unopened letter inside. I needed a reminder, so I put it behind my tax papers, not out of sentimentality. A tangible acknowledgement of my progress and my unwillingness to regress. The following week I got a call from Ellie. I didn't answer at first. I let the voicemail go. The following day she gave it another go. Then the following day. Finally on the fourth call I answered. She spoke gently, as if she wasn't sure if she was permitted to talk to me. Hey, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I remained silent. Not quite yet. What she meant by everything was something I wanted to know. I didn't stand up for you. I let Ryan talk to you like that. I let Mom treat you like help. I always knew it was wrong, but I told myself it wasn't my place to fix it. That it was easier not to stir things up. But I saw how they looked after you left, Andrew. It was like something cracked open. Everything felt exposed. Quiet. Even Ryan stopped talking for once. I have yet to respond. She remarked, I read your old message again. The one in the group chat. The one where you said you were just doing what they taught you, taking care of what's yours. I think that hit harder than you realized. When I eventually said, it wasn't meant to be poetic. It was just the truth. She let out a sigh. Yeah, that's the part that hurts. We were silent for a long time, not tense, but honest. She continued by saying, they're talking about selling the house. I sat up at that. What? Yeah. Dad says it's too much to maintain now. The heating's a mess. The outdoor stuff's broken. And, well, Denise is embarrassed. She had friends over last week and the power flickered during lunch. Ryan lost a freelance gig because the Wi-Fi dropped in the middle of a call. So, I replied slowly. Now that things are inconvenient, they want to give up. She didn't dispute. They don't even realize it wasn't the stuff I took that broke the house, I said. It was the foundation. I know, she muttered. That's why I'm not calling for them. After another pause she said something that caught me off guard. I want to stay in touch. I don't care about Denise's side of the family anymore. I miss my brother. My real brother. For all the years I felt like I was shouting into space, this person on the other side was whispering back, and it impacted me in the chest harder than I anticipated. Softly. Then show me, I said. Not with words. With actions. I will, she said. She did, to her credit. Ellie began to visit once a week. Sometimes she'd bring meals. At times, we would simply sit and converse. At first, we kept things light. Work, novels and random TV shows. But gradually, we delved deeper. She began to tell me about the pressure she was under to be the ideal daughter in Denise's eyes as she grew up. Pretending that all of the dysfunction was normal was so draining. Every time she laughed at Ryan's jokes to keep from becoming his next victim, she felt horrible. I also admitted to her that I had spent the majority of my 20s believing that I just had to do more to win her love. Each time I paid a bill, addressed an issue, or gave them a present, I thought that perhaps this would be the moment that I felt like family. And how I finally realized I didn't have to earn anything by going away. That I had always been sufficient. The remainder of the family, meanwhile, remained largely unchanged. Denise continued to act as though nothing was wrong by sharing filtered photos on Facebook. I was having a phase, she told her buddies. Ryan made a few comments online about ungrateful siblings and drama queens, but he knew better than to tag me. My father made several calls. I let the voicemail go. He occasionally left lengthy, meandering texts. On other occasions I listened, but I never answered. Just a quiet, "Hope you're doing okay, son."